back to a day in the life of the foster triplets! Woo! It is an exciting day for us because we have a special guest, and it's not like the person is going to walk on to set. The person is already here. And
Alive and in living colors, as they say.
And it is Mom!
Mom looks really nice today. I'm really like this pink, Mom. It really looks good against your skin color.
Oh,
really
thank you.
nice. And Mom has in a really nice clip, and it's really letting our hair look really good. Sorry.
Thank you. Okay, enough about the fashion choices. So, in the last video, we interviewed Dad. We spoke about very interesting questions, and if you haven't gotten to see that video, please go ahead and watch it. And if some of you want to know exactly what our dear father would think about our future husbands, it's in that video as well. So go on over and check that out. Now, it is not going to be the same thing with Mom. We are not going to be asking her questions. She, on the other hand, is going to be telling us a story of survival, a story of triumph, and a story of just fire, but at the same time there is
Trials.
Sometimes
there's victory.
Yes, and this story
And determination.
determination. Yes,
That's right.
that's the word I was looking for.
Right.
This story, it's not a story that we found in a book and decided to share. It's not someone's story.
It's Mom's story.
It's Mom's story. And what makes it better, I think, for me, is the fact that I know for a fact that Jesus did all of these stuff. And we can see how far he has brought Mom from. So I am going to stop talking, and we are going to sit and allow Mom to impart knowledge to us. Every time Mom speaks, for some reason,
Mom always
has an object lesson to teach us. So I'm really talking out this intro, but I'm just so excited to hear the story.
So you should be quiet then.
Yes, right.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Let me sit a little bit straighter so I can be a little more comfortable. I am Nicole Foster, for those of you who are meeting me for the first time.
Mom extraordinaire.
I wouldn't say that. What I would say is that God has been good. I am the mother of these three lovely ladies and the wife of that handsome young man behind the camera.
You look good, Dad.
Oh, they're matching.
Oh,
Right?
yes, I just realized.
It's my turn now.
Oh,
Thank you. Okay, I grew up in a family with 10 children. My mother and father had 10 of us. 3 girls and
7 boys.
7 boys. 3 males, 3 females, 7 males. But I have another sister and a half sister by my father's side as well, so that would have been 11. But all 10 of us grew up in that one space together. And when I say one space, I'm now referring to a little house, 20 feet by 9 feet, and it was punctuated with holes. So we had our natural AC, we had fan, we had just everything coming through. Sometimes I would be on the bed and I feel that nice cool air, cool breeze just massaging my face, and it's not coming from a fan because we didn't have that. But of course, sometimes, well, not necessarily from the roof, that would be over on my mother's parents' side, but from the side, because the sides of the house, because it was a wooden structure, and the different pieces of wood or board that we have as the siding board, those were so old that they started to rot, so you could see through at different times. My mother was very creative though. She would take the beautiful magazines during those days, she mixed the water with some flour and made it into a paste, and then we would all as a family put our hands in, paste it, and then added the paper to the wall One, it's creative, it's beautiful, but it blocked out the holes that we had in there. The house got so old after, you know, when you have a dilapidated house, one piece would fall, one part would fall off the block, then the other part would fall off the block, and then everything just gave away.
Gave up
I'm
the
tired.
It just went down. And then the floorboards had holes in them, so we had this wonderful, you would say, a wonderful garden. At different times you see nice streaks of green coming through, blades of grass. And of course we had sometimes, well, it wasn't a zoo, but we had little frogs and few little...
Frogs?
Yes.
In the house, huh?
Yes, just jump through the bottom of the
absolutely
board and
not.
just jump in. And a few little lizards. But that taught me not to be afraid of those things. Okay?
Lizards are fine. Frogs?
Lizards are fine, the frogs. Oh.
Well, back to that part of the story now, growing up. While we were there in that little space, it was hard financially. It was hard emotionally at times, because when you live into a community like that, people will be passing by, and in the event there is a disagreement, they already know what to tell you. And I'm going to use my vernacular, but I'm also going to interpret it. They would say, "Go yeah, we can use stick from out the door and juke on out of the house." They would say, "Go away." I could use a stick from off the road, standing on the road, and use a stick and push it through the holes of the building, and I could find you where you are and just stick you through it, through the house.
Because of the holes.
Because of the holes. That's their indirect ways of saying your house is old, right?
That was rude. Very rude.
But looking back now, I don't take that as being rude, because after a while, it serves as a fuel to help me to do better, or to propel us forward.
Whoever said that to my mother, if you're watching this today,
God bless you.
God bless you.
Yes. So I
That's all I'll say.
So just emphasizing, it's not a way this is not to put anybody down, and it's not a way of lifting me up or my family up. It's a way of saying to persons who are going through situations where people might say negative things to you or try to discredit you, don't give up. Keep your eyes focused on on your goals, and don't stop, and the Lord will help you to fulfill those goals and help you to be successful. Now, as children growing up, we are accustomed to a lot of times having one meal per day. And that one meal could be some dumplings, and you boil the dumplings. It's dough, mix the flour in a dough, and then you boil it, and you buy some margarine, and you use that hot, we call them dumplings, the hot dumplings, and you just rub the margarine on it. Or it could be some coconut oil that you heat it on the fire, and then you throw in some onions and escallion in it. Yeah, that's lovely. You know? Or on very nice days, we would get some chicken back. Not chicken, but chicken back, with some dumplings or some rice, and that would be dinner. But growing up like that, I learned from my parents to satisfy what I have. So one of the rules, don't eat from people. Anybody ask you, offer you anything, tell them that you're full. I remember going to catch water a little way down, because when the water goes and we have no water at our pipe, there are some other houses that would have water, and we'd go to get water. And one of the rules is, if you go to the house and the person takes off their pot, even if you were waiting for a while and playing or whatever it is, take up your jug and find your yard.
Take up your jug and go.
Take up your water container and go. So that also transferred into going to school. There are times when I'm hungry at school and I would not tell my teacher or anyone. We would just drink water and go back home because we were told to satisfy what you have and don't eat from people and don't beg. And that brings me to a point. There are some parents who will have children, and the children would come home from school with things. A phone, a pencil, a rubber, a sharpener. You didn't give it to them. They didn't purchase it. And they'll tell you, my friend gave it to me. If I tried that with my father, my father would have said, or my mother, is the child working? They're working to have their own monies? So how they can buy you a pencil or a sharpener? Take it back. Don't come back here with it tomorrow. And if you do that, I'll walk you straight to school with it. Well, I don't want that to happen.
Right.
So I don't take people's things. You offer me? Thank you. But you may have to keep it for me though. No, when I was about 9 years old, I started going to sell orange juice on the beach, periodically. But when my father left that age, when I was 11 at the time, it was very hard on my mother. I must mention quickly though that we grew up into a family yard. In other words, in the yard where our house was, where my mother called it a ruktuk because it was dilapidated, there was another house there and there was another house there.
So it's basically a courtyard with other homes.
That's a nice word to say, it's a courtyard, yes. Oh yes, so I grew up into a courtyard.
Oh.
In Jamaica we say a big yard,
Yes,
right?
big.
But I had aunts and uncles who were very kind and loving, and I had my grandmother and father, paternal grandmother and father, who were very supportive. So it was hard overall, but they would share what they had. Now, going back to the situation of working on the beach at that young age, it was also difficult. At 11, when my father wasn't here, and I said to my mother, it's okay. I will go to Negril. That's in Negril. That's one of our hotel capital.
Yes.
Ideal tourist destination.
Yes.
7 miles of sand. You just walk. 7 miles of beach. You can just go there and just walk.
Not the grey sand, mind you.
The lovely, lovely sand.
Not the black sand. Not the fake sand. Lovely, the real sand.
The real sand. But walking on that real sand in the sun
Oh man.
can be a real hassle, a real struggle.
Oh, yes.
But God was faithful in all of this. So my sister and I, that came, my second sister, that would be Shelly. She and I would be on the beach at different times until it no longer on weekends, but the things got so hard. We were there during the week selling as well. So we were absent from school a lot. Not just because of the fact that we were selling on the beach, but we just can't afford to go to school. No breakfast, no lunch. My mom would say no school today. Sometimes we would make little deals with her and say, let us go please, and we'd come back lunchtime. Lunchtime we wouldn't go back because we realized that teacher was doing a concept that we really wanted to learn. But we worked hard on that beach. We would walk a mile down and a mile back, and then walk another mile up and then a mile back, and would make that trip on the beach asking, hello, would you like some orange juice today? With that nice wonderful smile even when you're hungry or you're tired. And it taught me a lot. During that time, I interfaced with persons who, some of them were very nice, and others were very cruel. It taught me how to be smart, how to be like sheep among wolves, where at every moment somebody's talking, you'll have to be working your brain to try to figure out what is he saying, what's the hidden message, what are they trying to do, things like that.
Because you had to protect yourself.
I had to protect myself because in that environment you have some other negative forces that we had to put up against. But I remember one of the days someone said to me while I was on the beach, a young man, he said, "You're always here. Why are you always at the beach? You should be going to school. I can tell what you're going to become. You are going to be selling on this beach when you become an adult. I can see it." I stopped. I looked at him. And it knocked me hard when he said it. But then I said, I have to prove you wrong. I said it in my mind. And then I'm led to remember the many other negative things that were said to me growing up in the community. My mother and my father, they were teenagers when they had me as the first child. And unfortunately, it happened to my aunts as well. So, it's like a cycle. And when young men in the community would make passes at me and I would ignore them, they would say to me, I remember one of the young men, after calling nicely, he'd say to me, of course, they called me Stacy in the community. "Hi, Stacy. You're just growing so nice. I just like to see you." And gradually it would turn, "I can't wait for you to be my girlfriend. I tell you, I just love you."
Oh no.
When that did not work, the narrative changed to,
Because the rejection got them angry.
yes.
And so they had a problem with it. So
That's
they
where you
decided-
see person's true colors.
Oh yeah.
That's right. So he said, and I'm going to use my vernacular, I'm going to use my Jamaican language. "Hey yo, you think you're better than nobody? Eh? You think you're better than, you see which part you live? You see, your mother, your father, all of them have children when they're a teenager. Same thing gonna happen to you. Think you're better than nobody, you're not better than none of around yourself. No, I'm going to interpret. Who do you think you are? Do you think you're better than anybody else here? Look at your parents, look at your mother, look at your aunt. They were teenagers when they got pregnant. That's the same thing that's going to happen to you. Look at where you're from, look at where you live.
Interesting. The same young man, ma'am, that if you get into a relationship with, there's a possible teenage pregnancy, and he's saying that to you. Oh, you get pregnant.
Oh, come
Precisely. And so listening to all of that could have pushed me
He pushed you down.
down and allowed me to feel negative about myself. Yes, it was hard, but I was also led to remember the things that my mother and father would say to me and my grandparents. And so, "Stacy, you know what happened? You're going to do very well." That time my mother would say, "Stacy, don't ever let what happened to me happen to you." And I have those thoughts to process. Now, another thing I should mention.
Yes.
My mother was so prolific. Every year I would hear a child cry in my house.
Since you're the eldest.
Since I was the eldest. So it got to the point where I said, oh, if when I become an adult I hear a child cry, I would go crazy. I thought that was the worst thing could happen. And I would say as a child growing up, please help me not to get pregnant, not to be able to have a child.
Whoa.
Yes.
Well, here
Here's
we
the
are.
break.
Did you go crazy, ma'am?
I'm getting to that point. I said that, but what I'm happy for is the fact that God did not answer that prayer.
He heard it. But he said, my dear child, if you only see what's in the future.
See, they're speaking on behalf of the Lord. No, thank you. True. But that is a
plans
fact.
that He has for us are plans to prosper us.
Precisely. But because of how I was brought up, I saw it as a hurdle, as something that I would never want to happen to me. I would say to parents, be careful what you say to your children. I would say to family members and even people in your presence, speak positive things over the lives of people whom you interact with, because your words are powerful. And I'd also say to persons, be careful of what you pray over your own lives, because things have a way of coming right back.
They do.
Because later on in life, I got the message. When I heard that from the doctor, it had a pain to it. And then I started remembering the prayers that I was praying over my life in the early stages. So if you are accustomed to praying negative things in your life, I want you to say, God, I'm going to ask you, please, can you break that prayer on earth and break it in heaven? And pray back and ask God to help you and to forgive you. Because we all have been there at times. So those negative things that I used to serve as motivation for me, I would want somebody to do the same thing. But I'm not going to be very lengthy with this. I won't be able to give you all of the details.
Definitely.
But I remember at one point a teacher said to me, why are you always coming to school? So why are you always absent from school? And she looked at it and she said, of the entire month, you have been to school for 10 days. And then she said, you know what happened? You are either in the top 10 or the top 5 of the class, and your attendance is so poor. Imagine if you were coming to school regularly. But as a child growing up, not being taught not to tell people your business, I kept that inside, right? But it also taught me, because when I became a teacher, I started looking not just with the eyes of, I stopped looking at the surface level. I looked deeper. I watched a child who is sleeping. I look at the child's face who is looking blank. I paid close attention to a child who seems as if they're there, but they're all over the place, because it seems as if they're trying to bring some level of equilibrium to their lives. And then I started to reach them where they were, to make them comfortable, because I did not want a child to experience what I experienced. Mind you, there were times when I go to school and I was always broke because a child must eat. I would never want a student to be hungry in my class, and I am aware of it. So I watch my students. I say, everybody needs to eat in my class, because I need to know who is not eating. I need to watch and see what's happening, because I wanted to make a difference in the lives of the students that I interacted with.
And you could, so your experience helped you to be aware of the different telltale signs
Yes,
of a child going through those stuff.
Yes. And another telltale signs I looked at, when a child who is always absent, I'm not assuming that the child does not want to come to school or the parent doesn't care. In the early stages when I was a teacher, I would buy a bicycle and I would ride into the communities to find my students, to see who was having certain challenges. I remember one child, she was very sharp. So if somebody said to her something to her, she was quick to fight and quick to react. But she was absent a lot of times. And I said to her, tell me where you live. I know, I was talking to her and befriended her, and tell me where you live. And she told me where she lived. And then I said, where's your mom? I've sent messages to her and she has not responded. And her eyes dropped.
Aww.
And I said, tell you what happened. Tell your mommy that one of these days I'm going to come and look for her. You hear? And I rode my bicycle and went to look for her. And the mother was so sick. The child was the one who was carrying a lot of the load around the house. And seeing her mother sick, not having her father to care for her the way she should, and she was struggling, I was better able to help that child to feel comfortable. When she wasn't getting her homework done, I would tell her, I would stay back in the afternoons with you when the other students would have left, to help you, because I know she did not have that help at home, and to build her up. And I saw where she improved, the behavior changed, and I said, I have to do something more than just teaching. I wanted to reach those children. That's why I went into guidance counseling, and then I furthered into psychology and so forth.
You know, some people just sound like they really love to study.
That's not the point.
You sounded like you love to study.
I wanted to make the lives of others better. And as I mentioned that, I'm going to close very quickly. Something very dark happened to me as a child, and it affected me when it was time for me to do CXCs. That's our external examination. I was 17 at that time.
It could almost be like SATs, wherever they are for some people then.
Right. So when it happened to me at a younger age, what I did, I hid it at the back of my mind. I repressed it.
I repressed them.
Yes. So it was there, but I never dealt with it. It came back to haunt me when I was about 17 years old. I got so depressed. But guess what happened? I learned to mask my feelings so much that I was hurting and my family members did not know. My question is, parents, look out for certain signs at your home to see when your child is going through some struggles. Don't judge them. Be there for them so that they see that you can be trusted. And when they say things to you, don't go telling their business to other people, because it will shut off their ability to talk with you. They'll not want to trust you anymore. So dealing as a teenager, going through the struggle of not having money to go to school, not having textbooks, all of that, I'm also the protector of my brothers and sisters.
Yes,
I have to ensure that they are okay. And I also have to bear the well-being of my mother, who has 10 children struggling at the same time. So what I do, I hide my emotions and my feelings and deal with everybody else.
So you could not burden them because they had enough on their plate at the moment.
Precisely. So at that time, as a child, as a teenager, the thought, all of the memories keep flooding back. And then I started having some depressive behaviors. My parents didn't see it. My mother didn't see it because I'm always reading or I'm always doing things. So I'm crying and they don't know. So at one point, I got suicidal. I started having suicidal ideations, and I even attempted it, but there was something in my mind telling me, no, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. And I remembered clearly saying, at that time I wasn't a Christian, by the way. I became a Christian after I left high school. Immediately after I left high school, graduated in July, I got baptized in August. And that, I believe, God saved me with that decision. So I said to God during that time, I said, God, I'm in so much pain and I can't pick up the phone and call a line or call somebody just to help me to go through this struggle that I'm facing. If you help me out of this, I'm going to provide support for somebody else who is going through similar struggles. Mind you, I have overcome that struggle because God kept me. And He put my husband in my life as the means of support to just be there for me when I hurt, when I'm in pain, very understanding. So choking up now is not a sign that I have not overcome. But it's just remembering that pain and that struggle that I went through, and nobody was there to help me. Well, God was.
But human intervention wasn't there.
Human intervention was not there. And I'm thinking, how many other young men, how many other, thanks dear.
Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Dad.
How many other young women, how many other children struggling and they're hurting alone without that support. And if you are that person looking or listening today, I want to let you know that you are not alone, because when no human intervention is there, God is still present. Looking back, I can see His fingerprints and His hand holding me at different points when I could have fallen, when I could just break, and so many things could have happened. and I looked back and I realized that God was faithful in all of this.
Amen.
And so I want to stop my story for now because there are other aspects of it. I guess I will share that aspect of young persons. How do you manage when you have no money to go to high school and you're pressured and young men are making passes at you, or even elderly men or people are making passes at you telling you this is the way, come, I will give you money in order to. I've had it, but God helped me to reject it. And so many other things. One of the things that I learned is if you keep your minds focused on what you want, God will provide little avenues here and there to create that opportunity for you to succeed. And I use this opportunity to remember the late Mr. Hayden, we call him Trainer. He believed in education, and he was the person when I wanted to pay for my subjects and couldn't afford to pay for it. I said to him as an upstanding citizen in Grange Hill, I said, Mr. Trainer, my father said he can't afford to pay for my CXCs and I have no money. Can you please help me to pay for it? I'm going to ask my grandmother overseas, who's my paternal grandmother, to send me the money and I can try and pay it to you in installments. Mind you, he did a good cussing before because he's upset that a child with potential is not getting the opportunity. But he wasn't cursing me actually. He was just angry at the situation.
Yes.
And he did it. And I want to honor him today because had it not been for him, I don't know what would have happened. To God be the glory. I did my exams. I borrowed books. I worked along with persons, used weekends, and I didn't own a book for myself. But God allowed people in my class who believed in me to be kind enough to share their books with me. And that's how I did my CXCs. So I was able to use the CXCs that I got from high school to matriculate to college, where I went to Church Teachers College. And that's where I went and did home economics, which will come out now with your outfits that I would design, because I specialized in clothing. I mean.
You look so cute and little at Church Teachers College, and I'm following that too.
Well,
Yeah, little.
God has been good. God has been good. So and then I cannot help but to remember Miss Hyacinth Hilton. She was one of my friend's mother who believed, Rosemary James, who believed in education, and she pushed. She rallied around support for me when I was in Church Teachers College, and I was able to graduate. I was able to do my best, and so I want to honor those persons. And there are some other persons too who would have extended themselves to me at different points. I also want to use this opportunity to thank them
And
as well.
Yes, and I think the more profound thing is they extended themselves without expecting anything in return.
Yes, and that is, I think, for me, even for us as a ministry, because of what has happened to me as a child and how I struggled, and I know the difference that other people made in my life. That is why, as a ministry, even before we are so established, from you were very small, we were taught to pack food items to give to persons and to share, and other children going to school. I can recall one of the days when they were very small, and we were helping a young man to go to school because he needed support. And I remember at one point you got jealous. And you said,
I thought we were getting a new brother or something, because of the support you were giving him. So I thought that the affection and the love was diverted in his direction. You see.
okay, thanks for disclosing that. I did not realize.
And so my jealousy flared a little. But it was merely childlike, Mom.
Yes, it was. Yes, and so they would say, and children, you'll see that happening into your homes too. Your mother will say, I have no money. But then a child who needs to go to school or somebody who needs support, you see your parents finding the money. And I remember you were saying, but you said you have no money. I said, I don't have any money, but the Lord provided it so that he can get it. That wasn't mine, that was for him. Or that wasn't mine, that was for her. And so that's what we're accustomed to doing. Now as a ministry,
Yes.
It's a yearly thing. Once we do tours or anything, we ensure that students are provided for, whether it be tuition from the primary level. That might not be tuition, but it might be uniform, it might be bags or school supplies, or even lunch money. For high school, it could be for auxiliary fees, it could be lunch, it could be for CXCs. And for university, it's also for a part of a school fee or to purchase food items or whatever it is. Growing up that way, even as a ministry, it's hard. Giving back, it's just like, it's a part of us where we are always giving back. So in 2020, we coined the term Pack a Bag Initiative.
Yes.
Where we are still doing it. It's on a monthly basis where we do Pack a Bag Ministry, where we hand out food items, not just in Westmoreland, Montego Bay, Hanover. The farthest point we went to was where? Clarendon. It was in Clarendon, where people know of the ministry, they know of the concerns, and the Lord would have us just create links and provide food packages for people at different points, or medication and so forth. So saying all of this is just to say, I am happy for the experience that I had growing up, because sometimes if you're not hungry, you don't know what hunger feels like. There was a time when my sister and I would wear the pair of shoes this week to school, she would wear the same pair of shoes next week. So we just interchange it.
And interchange days as well.
So that we could all be a part of the whole teaching and learning experience. Now, if you don't know what it is like to be naked, to be destitute,
clothing,
then it's, and I'm not, no disrespect to persons who have never been hungry and so forth, because there are persons who have never had that experience, right. But that love for humanity allows them to give of themselves. So much more for persons who have been there. If I know that somebody is hungry and the person is there, my appetite goes immediately. In the classroom, if I know that a child is hungry, immediately I can't eat. As a matter of fact, I can't eat until I know that the children are okay. So I think the Lord allowed me to have all of that experience so that I can be better able to be a blessing to other persons. And so for persons who are listening or looking, if you always find a way to be a blessing to other persons, even in the simplest of forms. If you have been through a struggle, it is allowed not to crush you, but for you to use that experience to help somebody else.
Amen.
Right? And for persons who are looking on, parents, be very transparent with your children. If you have been through hard times, let them know. But don't say, oh, you've been through hard times, so I don't want you to experience none of that. Allow them to realize what it has done for you, and still train them in such a way where they learn responsibility and learn all the other things that you learned. Try and teach them in a different way, right? Just closing, my final words to those of you who are looking and listening. You might be going through a hard time now, but how can those situations help you to be a better person? How can it help you to help others to be a better person? In Revelation it says, these are they who have come out of
great tribulation.
Great tribulations, and have washed their robes and made them white in the blood. You are going to go through tribulations.
Yes, you do.
But don't give up. Use your scars for the Lord to shine through them, to be lighthouses, to be path, lamps for people, to look so that they know where they can get support, where they can get hope, where they can get some level of motivation.
Can I say something? And
Yes.
the people that are speaking bad about you, you may be a young person and people are saying you won't amount to anything, you're not good enough. Those same people, once you use those hurtful words as stepping stones to fuel your determination that you will not become what they say you will become, those same people, just like mom, they turn back and say, oh, Stacy, you know, I
no, Stacy, Miss White.
Yes.
That's
Mom's
mom's maiden name. Yes.
Miss White, you know, I knew you would come to something, you know. I just knew you had the potential, listen, man. They had to bite their words.
Your motivational speech has ended.
Now,
Yes.
I'm not sure I want mom to share much more of her story because the book is coming.
Yes, the book is
And
coming.
there's so much to share that I want you to be surprised when you read the book.
Yes, ma'am, but I want to thank you so much for creating a safe space for us because, as you were saying, parents, don't take your children's business and carry it to others. It's not right. It really isn't. Please,
And if
don't
you've
do
done it, try to start weaving a net of trust again.
Yes, there's always way of apologize to your child. Let them know that you did it. And you know, parents are not being cruel when they do it. Some of them are just so scared and concerned, so they want to share it and
Right.
say, you know, my daughter did that, you know, my son did that. And some people that they bring that information to, it doesn't end there. It keeps circulating. So if your child needs help, go for the help. But get the help, prayerfully seek the help from the persons who would help to build up your child instead of pulling them down.
Yes.
And you created a safe space for me, ma'am. You said, I won't take your business or the things that you tell me and carry it to others. And I think mom and dad created that trust with us where
For sure.
they didn't carry our struggles or anything to other people.
Mom and dad say, I'm not your best friend,
Yes.
but they're my parents. They're not my best friend, but we have such a trust and a bond
Where we can carry
where
our
we can
stuff
speak
in.
to them about anything. And I know,
Knowing that we have your back.
yes,
Right.
and I know that I don't have to be scared or worried that anyone else is going to hear or that they will judge me. They just have such a calm maturity and almost like a God-given way of advising you on situations and calming you down.
And no topics are really all out of bounds because I think when you have that trust where you can talk to your parent about anything, it helps to weed out you going to friends and they tell you the wrong thing.
That's
Yes.
right.
It really
right.
helps.
That's
And
right.
sometimes you might have a very uncomfortable conversation where dad might be blushing and he might be scratching his head, but mom will be looking at this.
Mom is just
There.
matter of fact. Mom gets to the
There,
point.
hold up your head. We're talking. And dad will have to scratch his ears and okay. Oh,
Family conferences, we have them every week. But I think what I was gonna say about mom is that she said, what was I going to say? I don't know.
So while
Any
you're
closing words, ma'am?
no, what you're saying was very important. Parents, some of us as parents, we pretend as if we have never sinned. We have never made a bad decision. We have done it right.
Right?
The children, no, that's not the case. In other words,
I heard that one.
in other words, be humble enough to say to your children, you know, when I was your age, I did that, and that was a crazy thing. And then they will say, oh my goodness, my mom did that. And then you have the authority to say no.
Don't do the same thing.
Because of that, this is what happened, this is what happened, and this is what happened. No, you tell me, would you want that to happen to you? Oh, no. So when they see that you would have disclosed, and you have to know what to disclose to the children at different ages and exactly what and how. Pray for wisdom and the Lord will guide you. When they see that you're genuine and you're
Right.
honest, what happens is that they will feel as if you are not judging them when they come with their challenges. Because every child has challenges. Every one of them. But it's how do we deal with it? Do you crush them? Or do you say, listen me, you are my child, I love you no matter what. It doesn't matter what you do, I still love you. So having that knowledge, when they mess up, they can feel free to come to you for that support.
And it's okay to say sorry. See,
Right.
Mom and Dad have really, my respect for them is just so big because they're not scared to say sorry
That's true.
when they make a mistake.
That's true.
And I think our parents should do that too. When children should say sorry as well, but parents also say sorry.
Yes.
It's important.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me, Osma. Me. Thank you so much.
Oh, it was a
Right, right.
pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for
Ma'am.
having us, Osma.
You mean having you or for inviting you?
For having us and for having us.
Okay.
Okay,
It
well,
was a
so we
pleasure.
did this with Dad. We are the foster triplets.
Okay.
So we have to start warming up now. You want to try now?
Absolutely. Watch me now.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right. That was like.
No, that was like.
So what part of it should I sing? He did baritone. I'll do the bass.
Did that just? Mom just dissed that just now.
I knew you were always.
That was the
baritone
baritone.
for Mom.
She's the bass. She's the deeper.
Covet good gifts. Ready?
Okay.
I see. It was the way. So
Ready?
Ready?
We are the foster triplets.
Please tell me the key here.
Bye. Bye. Stop.
I'll do the bass.
Okay.
Ready.
Hold on.
Okay,
Here's a quick-
can I pray for the parents before I go, please?
Okay.
Or I feel led to pray for somebody who might be going through a hard time. Okay. Our Father in heaven, the one who loves us with an everlasting love, the one who before we were born you knew us. You knew us by name. You could not help but to know our very fingerprints because you designed them. And you love us with an everlasting love. Oh God, I'm led to lift up before you now persons who are in pain, emotional pain until they do terrible things to themselves. I'm led to lift up before you, Lord, families that are hurting, are in pain, mothers separated from children, children separated from fathers. Lord, I pray for young persons who walk away and those who have left the security of their homes and now they are too ashamed to go back. Oh God, like the prodigal son, could you lead back some children, some young persons who are struggling, who feel as if they have messed up and that they would be judged. Oh God, could you put that love and that forgiveness into the heart of the parents, that they would take them back and not even ask, where have you been? But just, I love you and I'm happy that you're back. Could you pull some parents, some mothers and fathers who are struggling to be together? Oh God, could you put the presence of your Holy Spirit into their hearts, into their minds? Because if they would just put self aside a little, many of the cases would have been solved. And Lord, I'm fully aware that there are some cases that are better separated. But even in the midst of separation, could you put the Spirit of God inside of that separation so that there can be maturity and that there can be understanding and respect? Could you be with young persons who are going through their mountain and their pain at this time, God? Children who are so scared of telling their parents something that is so important that could cause them a lot of destruction. Could you help the children to be brave enough to talk to their parents, to understand that their parents love them, and that even though they're in trouble, their parents will help them through it the way how Jesus has helped us through our sin situations. Thank you for everything. Bless and keep all of the persons who are listening now. And may your Holy Spirit rest, remain, and abide with us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mom.
Amen. Don't forget to like.
Share and subscribe to this video. And
This video.
No, shh. Oh,
Subscribe
subscribe
to this video.
to the channel, right, Mom?
Yes,
Right, to
that's
the
right.
channel. And you're supposed to say something else.
We are the foster triplets.
Hold on.
And you're supposed to click the notification bell, right?
And click the notification bell. It will notify you whenever we post new content.
And that's it.
And we are the foster triplets.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
That was interesting.
That was interesting, Mom.
Absolutely.
We're
That
developing
was-
a new harmony.
That was a
Yes.
new flavor.
Oh,
Yes.
serious.
Oh. I think you startled yourself, Mom. You didn't know what to do with yourself, so you started even putting on glasses and on glasses.
Yes. Is that okay, dear? We are the foster triplets and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
I'm hungry.